Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I think we will get started for today. It is so lovely to see you all here on a Sunday evening. Hopefully, it's as sunny where you are as it is with me today. So, first of all, I'm not seeing many faces that I know on this screen, so that's a really great sign. It's wonderful. So, first of all, welcome to you all. And if you don't know me, just to let you know who I am, I'm Leigh Bowman-Perks. I'm the founder and CEO of the Inspiring Leadership Foundation, a charity that helps to elevate hidden communities, helping them to feel inspired, empowered to achieve their full potential. And our Right to Inspire program has been one such program that we ran in 2025 to help to achieve that goal. So, really great, heartfelt welcome to everybody on our virtual book launch of MOIRA, A Woman's Journey Through Trauma. Thank you so much for joining us to mark this very special occasion, one that embodies courage, creativity, and clearly a lovely community as well. MOIRA represents several firsts for us. It's the first publication from our Right to Inspire program, which we launched last year to help women turn lived experiences and their aspirations to write books into literature. It's also our first official release as an independent publisher under the Inspiring Leadership International Publishing House. And it's the first novel written by Fiona Miles, who you may soon come to know under her pen name, Helen Oxenham. So tonight we come together not just to launch a book, but to celebrate a movement, one that helps women and men and everybody else find their voices, tell their stories, and to change lives. And as part of this program, we're so grateful because everybody actually agrees to donate a little bit of funds back into the charity. So everybody who gives gains, everybody gains, gives back. So it's very, very special indeed. Now, it is my joy to introduce you to the most important person of this evening, and that is Fiona Miles, writing as Helen Oxenham, whose heartfelt storytelling has already touched so many of us. Fiona, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. It's just lovely to be here and be having this online book launch of my debut novel, MOIRA. One of the things I wanted to sort of let everybody know was the reason that I used a pen name for this book was because a lot of you may know and some won't know, but I am adopted. And had the people who biologically made me, had they fallen in love and lived happily ever after, I would have been called Helen Oxenham. So that is why I decided that I was going to use a pen name so that I could bring Helen to life, that Helen could have a place in this world. And I know that she has a place in this world because I am her, because that's who I began as. But I just really wanted to give Helen a place in the world that she didn't have as Helen Oxenham. So that's the reason why I used a pen name. And then, I just wanted to just read a little bit of MOIRA. I wanted to read the first couple of pages of MOIRA. Shouldn't take too long. I've been timing it and it didn't take long. So I'm just going to read the first 2 pages of MOIRA just to give you a flavour of where the book is going. So it starts off, it was a bitterly cold night in the Scottish lowlands. MOIRA struggled to catch her breath as she lay in the woods with her baby about to enter the world. Afraid to cry out, even though she was sure no one would hear her up here. Biting her lip as yet another wave of excruciating pain caused her to want to scream. No one knew she was here in the woods, in agony and alone, facing childbirth at 15 years old, a quiet, studious girl who loved school, horses and adventures. This was one adventure she hadn't bargained on when she went out with Douglas Semple 9 months ago. She prayed as waves of pain threw themselves up and over her body as her baby began its journey into the world. Eventually, it was over. The baby was here. She cried as she managed the cord and waited for the next wave of afterbirth to come. She had spent hours in the library reading about pregnancy to help her manage what was to come. She was prepared for the next step. She was glad there had been none of the complications that had scared her half to death in the books that she had been reading. Trying hard not to look directly into her baby's eyes was so difficult. More than anything in that moment, she longed to tell her mum that she had been pregnant. Her mother and father had lived in this tiny community all of their lives, as had her mother's family. How had she got into this predicament? Her parents were devout Christians. She knew they would have disowned her if they had ever found out she was pregnant, never mind having sex so young and unmarried. It was June 1966. You didn't have a baby at 15 and expect to keep it and live happily ever after. Moira knew her mother would have sent her away to a home for pregnant girls, where she would have been told how bad she was and that she would have to give her baby up to strangers. So a plan had formulated in her mind. She had brought a change of clothes for herself and a blanket for the baby. She planned to take the baby to the Barnes farmhouse on Bridge Lane. She knew that Fiona Barnes, who lived there, had been longing for a child for as long as Moira could remember. Moira had heard her talking about it week after week at church, while she sat and waited for her mum to finish serving the teas. She hated this part of her week. She was never allowed to help serve the drinks. Moira's mother, Joy, was a bitter woman, always snapping and lashing out at home, sarcastically putting down Moira and anyone else who irritated her. Then she would slap on her Sunday smile when it was necessary. It pained Moira, especially as she got older. Why was her mum like this? Joy was like two different people. She never seemed to be happy, especially at home. She was glad she had her dad. He made her laugh, making faces behind her mum's back when she started on her. Moira felt a deep sadness as she wrapped her baby in the blanket, wishing she had a lovely, kind mum like her best friend Sally. Sally's mum would have kept the baby and helped Sally to manage. She was sure of that. Trying not to look at her daughter was hard. She was crying as she bundled the baby up into her arms. She cried tears of real remorse for finding herself in this awful position. Moira tried to get herself together as the baby had started to cry now. Comforting her was hard, knowing what she had to do. It was a cold night. The baby felt cold and she was feeling cold, knowing she needed to do what had to be done quickly before they both either got caught or died in the woods. So that's how the book starts. I hope that was interesting. And the story goes on. Moira has a lot of ups and downs, and you know, a lot of her difficulties, you know, go back to her how she's, you know, has had to give her baby up and everything. But she faces a lot of different traumas and manages an awful lot of really difficult things throughout the course of the book. So if you like a story about resilience, if you like a story where, you know, the heroine has, you know, ups and downs, and then, you know, things do get slightly better, but not completely, then Moira's probably a really good book for you. So I would like to just pass you back over to Leigh, and she can tell you a bit more about inspiring leadership and Right to Inspire.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Fiona. That was absolutely beautiful. And MOIRA is exactly what Right to Inspire is all about and what it was created for. It was a program that we ran last year, and I have seen Sarah McGaugh here on the call. So Sarah facilitated If some of you don't know Sarah, some of you might, but she has the energy of 50,000. She is the most wonderful, kind-hearted person, and she helped to bring the most beautiful program to life last year. So we all have a book within us, right? We all maybe even have this secret aspiration to write a book, but to turn that into a reality is a very, I suppose, independent journey. And what Sarah managed to create was a very special community with content and curriculum and a way of working together that everybody could feel inspired to write something, no matter what that book would be about. So, Sarah, can I just get you to do a quick hello? Because you are totally fabulous, and I don't reach out to you often enough to say just how much you are.
Hello, yes, I am here.
I love that photo. That's an amazing photo, by the way. Very good. And just, absolute ray of sunshine. So we must get another program up again very soon. Definitely. And we've launched this under the, in fact, Sarah, just very quickly, would you like to share a few words about how you felt about the program and the participants as that you took them through their journey?
Yes, of course, I'm happy to do that. It was wonderful. I think certainly it was more the expectation of it and everything that the women put into it. It was just lovely to see such enthusiasm, such curiosity, such passion for what they wanted to create in their books. And I can see some of the ladies here, some of the faces that I recognise from that programme. And obviously it would be wonderful. Fiona, I have known Fiona for many, many years. And I think this is Fiona's 10th book. She seems to love writing books. And I think what I would say to anyone that wants to write books is that it's very much once you get started, once you find your flow, you find your why. I think that would be the biggest thing, finding your why, the reason why you want to write a book. And then the world is your oyster, that it flows out of you and you can have your book any way you want it to. And I think certainly when you have such a wonderful charity as the Inspiring Leadership Foundation, and also that you have the publishing house sitting behind that, then you can achieve anything, because, being a self-published author nowadays is something that's amazing, and still only 1% of people do it. So I think Fiona's definitely
one of the high-performing early adopter 1%.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, it was wonderful. It was so wonderful, and I do really hope that the other women on the programme will obviously go on to publish their books as well.
Okay, so you can tell that we're all part of this community that wants to elevate the voices and the experiences of women together. So what we're doing tonight is to not only invite you to purchase Fiona's book, if you have not done this already. So I put the link into the chat already. So please do, please support Fiona. Please support all of the work that's being done. I think that's so important, that we help and lift each other up. But also, if there's something niggling in you and you are interested in something like this, then become part of this too. Our whole aspiration is to elevate women's voices globally, create career pathways for everybody that comes on the journey with us. And we do that through not just the programs, the workshops, but the mentoring, the community and everything that's involved, so that everybody can tell their story and help to drive social change as well. Fiona, just want to also acknowledge that you are donating some of your profits from MOIRA back into the charity to help other women on their own creative journey. So just want to say a big thank you from all of us in the team for doing that as well. Now, I have a few questions to ask you, and then what I'm going to do is to ask questions of our audience as well. So if you have not thought of a question already, get thinking, get those creative juices flowing, and please do pipe up and ask Fiona questions as we go through this. But my questions so far, right. First of all, you have written books before, Fiona, as Sarah alluded to, but this is your first novel. What made you write a novel?
Well, I think really because I had written like so many sort of books about life experiences, you know, my journey to getting Georgie and all that, I really thought to myself, can I write something that's not true? So I kind of was giving myself a challenge, you know, can you actually do that? Can you write something that's just completely made up? You know, and then I knew I wanted to bring Helen Oxenham into the picture. So I knew that in a way I couldn't really write a book about an experience using Helen Oxenham, because what experience did Helen have? So I just thought to myself, okay, go for it. Write a novel, you know, write about, you know, think about maybe what Helen's life could have been like, you know, pretend it's Helen having a life, you know, and just call her Moira kind of thing. So that was the sort of the ideas behind, you know, why I wanted to write the novel. And as the story started to unfold and come into its own, you know, I actually began to believe in myself, because I thought, you know, I'd sent bits of it out to friends and said, please tell me if this is utter rubbish. Just tell me, be honest. And sometimes it's difficult for people to be honest, because some of your friends want to say, no, it's really good, because they want to be kind. And I was like, do not be kind. Just tell me if it's not good. You know, and I got a lot of good feedback, little bits to change and how to build the characters and whatever. And that's how Moira then came into fruition, into the book that she has become.
Absolutely lovely. And it's a wonderful start. So tell us a little bit more around the character and the inspiration behind Moira herself. She goes through quite a journey, as you say, and there's a story to tell there.
Yeah, I mean, Moira herself, you know, she goes through a lot. Obviously, the beginning of the book is her, you know, she's been caught out, she's had a baby, she's had this idea, you know, to give it to someone who can't have children, or it seems that from what she's been listening to, this person can't have children, so she thinks it's the right thing to do and whatever, you know, and she does take the baby and leaves it on the doorstep. And the, you know, things progress and it doesn't all go according to plan. No spoilers here. And, you know, she goes on to face a lot of grief. She goes on to face a lot of difficulties, some big decisions she has to make. She moves away from her safe, comfortable little village and falls in love. And again, you know, things don't always go according to plan. You know, I'm sure we've all been in love and it hasn't worked out. And, you know, her character just continues to grow. She's a strong woman. You know, she's a young woman. She's strong. She's resilient. She goes through things and she sort of rises up again each time, you know, and through her sort of rising up and her growth, you know, one of the important things that I wanted to put in for Moira was that she got help. You know, she sought counsel, she had counsel, she took advice, and she leaned on people to help herself to get up and get on, you know, after the most awful things have happened to her. So that's really, you know, I just wanted to show that, you know, as people, men or women, we can go through the most awful things, but we can get up, you know, if we just take some help, ask for help, you know, and build a crowd around us that can just give us that lift up when we need it, kind of thing. So, you know, that was the sort of thinking behind, you know, how Moira was going to be going on.
So now, as a fabulous author that you are, and you have embraced the opportunity to leave us all on a cliffhanger at the very end, what's going to happen next? Because we're all dying to know, is there going to be a book 2?
Well, the aim was, I wasn't exactly planning, you know, a book 2. I had given it a vague thought because I knew I'd left some loose ends, and my promise to myself was, I'm not writing this year because I am a prolific writer. I can see Ruth is here as well, who is also an amazingly prolific and wonderful writer, and Paul as well, you know. I just can't help writing. So I said to my husband and my daughter, I'm not going to write this year at all. But then I started to get emails and texts and stuff, and people were like, you cannot leave it there. You know, you need to write part 2. We need to know what happens to some of the key characters. You know, where does Moira go? You know, where does she go to? What happens to this person? What happens to that person? And I was like, oh gosh. And so then that kind of started to fire up my own sort of desire to write. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to write part 2. So the first chapter of part 2 is written, and I think so far the book 2 will be called Daniel. So the people who have read the book will know why the second book would be called Daniel. So that's what it's going to be at the moment.
At the moment. Absolutely very excited indeed. And, you know, as I say, that's the sign of a very great author that can leave you on that cliffhanger. Sophie, you've left a lovely message here where you say, I started the book today and haven't been able to put it down. A great story, Fiona. So proud of you. So what a special message to receive. Lots of congratulations here. It's really lovely to kind of see that. Now, why don't we open it up to the audience and see what other people have got to ask? Anybody like to put their hand up? Ask Fiona, me, any questions? Don't be shy.
I've got one, if that's okay.
Fantastic. Thank you, Janine.
Thank you. Fiona, how did you decide on all the different character names in the book?
Okay, so basically, Moira, she's been named Moira because I wanted a name that had my vowels in it. So it needed to have an O, an I, and an A in it. So I kind of was looking through, and Moira was the one that fitted. And I thought Moira's quite a good Scottish name because she's from Scotland, you know, she's Scottish. So I thought, yeah, Moira. That was as simple as that. That's why she's called Moira. And then some of the other characters are, you know, names of people that I know, and kind of, you know, I just kind of thought about their character, and I thought, oh, let me just pop them in here. Or some names I put in the opposite type of character to how I know them. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of, yeah, and some of the names were just really names that I like. You know, I think if I'd ever had a little boy, I would have called him Daniel because I really like that name, you know. So, yeah, just little things like that, you know, when you're thinking about what to call your characters. Sometimes they're quite close to home, sometimes they're not.
I'm so pleased you said
Thank you.
Thanks, Janine, for that lovely question. And I'm so pleased that you said that also, Fiona, because my son is named Daniel. So I agree, it is a great name indeed. Right, who else would like to ask a question? Tricia, can we come to you?
Yes. So, yay, hi, Fiona. I'm so happy to see you and congratulations on everything. I have two questions. One is, you say it's international or global, this program. How do you just do it on Zoom then?
It's a virtual program that we've been delivering. And as I say, it's been facilitated by Sarah and myself. And Fiona has played a huge part also in helping to bring it to life. So, yeah, absolutely. As many people around the world. In fact, the next woman who is launching her book, it's a children's book. We're actually just finalizing the illustration. She's an artist as well, so she's done her own illustrations. So that's going to be launched in June. And she's based in Canada.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm meeting a lot of Canadians lately somehow.
So absolutely international.
And I just wanted to add to that, you guys are, with this program, I've been watching Fiona write book after year after year, and it's encouraged me and inspired me to get back to writing, and I've been writing this year, and I get a chapter published this month, but I just want you to know you're inspiring me, and even somebody else sent me a message saying they're inspired, they're getting back to writing, so it's passing on. It's going on down the line, just so you know.
Lovely.
My question for Fiona is, on outlining your book, because I will be writing a book this year as opposed to you. So do you come up with your outline first? Do you just spend time with what could be and make notes? Because I don't know where, like, do you just start writing? What was your very beginning? How do you go about it?
I think the very beginning, you know, I knew that I knew where Moira was going to come from. I knew who she was. I knew I knew that she was going to go through some stuff. So I knew those kind of details. And I tried to do the sort of outline and all the things that, you know, real writers do, you know, but it didn't work for me.
Right.
So basically, with the sort of seed of the idea that I had, I just started writing, and it just kind of started to come. And I, like, I've since found out that there's different types of writers, and I think the one I am is a pantser writer, where I just write, you know, and it just comes, and the characters start to flow and the thing. So I would suggest for you, Tricia, is just start writing.
Yeah.
You know, and if you find that you're not getting the, you know, the inspiration as you're going along, then sit down and think about maybe an outline would work for you. You know, but keep the outline as just like scaffolding, if you know what I mean. Don't try and be too intricate or detaily. Just get your scaffolding and start writing, Tricia, because I know if you write a novel, it will be brilliant.
Superb. I absolutely love it.
Thank you so much.
It also goes back to what Sarah says earlier as well. It's going back to your core, your why. So when you feel that you're off track and off piste, it's actually going straight back to your core in that writing process and connecting with that why. And it will reignite the energy that sits within you, because there will be a clear and compelling why, and the outcomes that you're looking for, and who your audience is, what you're looking to achieve with it all. But good luck with writing your book, Tricia. Claire, can I come across to you?
Yes, now I can work out how to do the mute thing. Fiona, this is such a brilliant introduction to Moira. I can't wait to put my hands on it, but you know that to be read pile? I might have to nudge it up a little bit, but I hope nobody else is listening who's got a book in my pile. My question is, what was the hardest part to write for you?
Oh gosh, now the hardest part to write. I don't want to give away any spoilers.
Without giving spoilers.
There's a very traumatic scene around the middle, and I've kept it as short, you know, and as concise as I could. I found that quite difficult because, as some of you all know, I've had quite a traumatic life myself. So some of it was quite near the knuckle. In that particular scene, and I found that difficult. I found that quite upsetting, actually, but I knew that Moira had to go through something, you know, just on that sort of level of traumatic, so it had to be done, and so I found that quite difficult. And in the beginning, the scene was a bit longer than it is in the book, and the more I read it, the more I shortened it. The more each time I read it, it got shorter and shorter, and I thought, no, I can't go through this for, you know, all this length of time. So that scene just shortened itself as it went along, and the way it's, you know, finished off that scene, it's short, it's concise, it's exactly, you know, as long as it needed to be. So that was the most difficult scene to write.
Thank you. I think it's that emotional piece, isn't it?
Yes.
When you're giving more of yourself. I can't wait to read it, as I say. So thank you. And this is a great launch by Zoom. So thank you. I'm enjoying this.
Thank you so much, Claire. We really appreciate it. Fee, can I come across to you?
Yes. Hello. It's lovely to be here. Fiona, I'm so proud of you. Well done. It's wonderful. I hadn't had a lot of time to be reading recently. And I started this morning with a cup of coffee, and I haven't been able to put it down. I have to tell you, I just got to that difficult bit. I know.
Sorry.
I'm looking forward to reading the next bit. And I know when you put your covers out for people to look at in Write That Book Alumni, I didn't really understand the cover, but it's perfect for the story. I just wanted to say that. And I wondered, and I'm curious, did you use the Miles method for this?
Well, not really. No, I suppose in a way the Miles method is kind of something that I do for other people to help them publish and write their books. But with this particular book, this is the first book that I've gone, down the road of having a publisher, and it's been a very, very different experience. Which it's been great. It's been lovely to be a part of Inspiring Leadership and Write to Inspire, and especially, being a part of the team and the group, just meeting such amazing people and having such amazing support around me has been just brilliant. I've loved it.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Let's come across to Jill.
Hi, thanks very much. And congratulations, Fiona. Just another brilliant book and fiction. And I'm just curious because I know how you have a busy life. And I'm just really curious to understand your writing process. How do you fit it in, and how do you write consistently? Because it's something I've always struggled with, and I'm just curious to know your tips on doing that.
I think really for me it was a case of getting Georgie off to school, praying that she would stay at school, that I wouldn't have to go and get her, and then just saying to myself, sit down, open the laptop, start writing. And even if what I wrote wasn't exactly what I needed to be written, at least I was writing something. I could always go back, and look over and change, fix, sort, edit. But I just made sure that on specific days, in particular a Tuesday and a Thursday, I definitely made sure that I sat down. I didn't have anything else scheduled in when Georgie was at school, and just I knew that those days were writing days. And so I wrote as much as I could. And then sometimes, in the evenings, that's when I would sort of look over, what I'd written, kind of thing. I always used to like to read over what I'd written quite quickly, because I found that if I stayed away too long, I forgot the momentum was gone. And I think that's where you get into sort of dangerous ground, where you are forgetting, where your character's gone. What colour of hair did they have? That suddenly changes, or the way they are changes because you've forgotten, because you've got a busy life. So it's making sure that there's a certain times and that you stick to them, because we can't all sit down and write every day. There may be some people that can, but I'm not one of them because I have so much else on. But I knew that on those days, and then in the evening, making sure I reread or went over or added to, because I couldn't afford to forget, so that because the book's got to it's got a flow, it's got to make sense, I suppose.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And just out of curiosity, the Tuesdays and Thursdays, how many hours on average on each of those days, and how long overall to write the entire book?
I would say probably a couple hours on because I was only doing it on those two, and maybe sometimes of a weekend if somebody kindly took Georgie. Maybe 2 maximum at a time, because again, my brain would end up being fried, when I've got everything else to think about. So it was only specific amounts. I couldn't have sat there for 5 hours or 6 hours and just wrote. That's not the way I would have been able to do it. So that's what worked for me. And I suppose for every writer, our ability, our time, what we have available is going to be different. And it's finding what suits you, what little niche of time can you give, and just make sure that when that niche of time pops up that you use it, I suppose, is the best way.
Brilliant, lovely. Thanks so much, Fiona. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, for that wonderful question. Janine, I'm going to come across to you, and then I'm going to pick up some questions that are actually in the chat as well very shortly. So, Janine.
Thank you. Jill, you actually asked one of the questions that I was going to ask, so thank you for that. I met Fiona a few years ago now, and I've got to say she's been a huge inspiration to me since, with just what she achieves and what she juggles is absolutely incredible. So yes, congratulations on the launch, Fiona. My other question will be leading on from Jill's actually, which was, how did you manage deadlines? Did you have self-imposed deadlines, or were deadlines guided by the inspiring?
No, the wonderful thing about Right to Inspire is, there was no deadline from them. It's a very gentle process if it needs to be, but for me, I had a personal deadline because Helen was born on the 6th of March. So my process was for everything to fit in and be the way I needed it to be for Helen. The book had to be released on the 6th of March, when Helen was born. So, that all sounds a wee bit airy-fairy, but it just had to be, because of all the sort of thought behind writing the book. So I had a self-imposed deadline, which really, I think if you give yourself a deadline like that, you are definitely going to stick to your writing slots. You're definitely going to get, make sure that your words have been edited. You're going to make sure that book is ready, because for me, that deadline was vital.
I think that was an absolutely perfect deadline as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Janine.
Just even seeing how you as a community work through WhatsApp and keep the momentum going, it's almost like the soft approach to not chastising you haven't, or you're not doing, because I think we chastise ourselves enough in a journey, and it actually hinders the process of creative writing and the outcome that you're potentially looking for. But it was really lovely to see how the community worked together, and then some of the one-to-one support, the mentoring that's offered alongside the program that helps. I'm just looking at Sally's comment here. So she says, apologies for not coming on camera or voice. I'm juggling my 4-year-old's bath and bedtime and didn't want anything inappropriate showing up in the background. We all know about that one. So my question is, what difference do you think the Right to Inspire program made to the book's journey, if I could get my words out, as opposed to other paths you may have taken or experiences with writing it may have had?
Right. I think I would say for this book, I think being part of Right to Inspire, was inspiring in itself, because there's so many incredible people that are writing their books and doing their thing and preparing their stuff. And so it was great to sort of share with other people and have their sort of interactions, as to what I'd written already. I did send the draft to a few and within Right to Inspire, and the feedback was incredible, and that it made an amazing difference, because some of the people who got the draft of the book have been through some difficult stuff themselves, and so having that feedback from people who had kind of been there, done that, was incredible. That the reality of it was shining through, so being a part of that really did help, in the making sure that things were, as they were coming across in the book, were, believable, and, that Moira's character in itself was someone who could really be believable, kind of thing. So yes, the Right to Inspire pathway made a huge difference.
Brilliant. And then I'm just looking here. We've got another question from Kelly. Did the book take a different direction than you first thought?
No. The book stayed on track, because I knew that Moira was going to have a tough time. I knew this book was going to be about resilience, about strength. I knew it was going to be, I knew there was going to be grief involved. I knew there was going to be trauma involved. I knew there was going to be growth involved, for the characters. So I knew basically as it was coming along that, everything was starting to take shape. The things that I wanted to bring in and explain and show were there. They were what's that word? They were championed. They were there, part of the story. So there's so much that people can sort of relate to within the story, because we've all lost a dear one. We've all lost someone. We've probably all been through some level of trauma. So there was a lot in it that definitely needed to be there. And as the story unfolded, I knew that I needed to leave those little dangly bits so that people were thinking, what happened to this character? What happened to that character? So yes, it all just, it stayed on track. I think I've lost track of the question.
I love it. Okay, so I'll keep going through these questions then, because they are just flooding in. So clearly everybody's absolutely passionate and fascinated by what you've done. So what was your favourite part of writing Moira? And that comes from Hannah.
Oh, my favourite part of writing Moira was getting it finished. Well, that was one of the favourite parts. But I think getting the start of the book, writing that first chapter and knowing that had made sense, that first chapter had so much in it, to get the reader fully involved in Moira, to get the reader fully involved in what she's already going through in chapter 1. So I think writing chapter 1 was definitely the most favourite part that I had of getting that finished. I was like, yes, that's it. We're on to something here. Right, chapter 2, here we go.
Yeah, lovely. Can I just say one of the favourite parts from me in terms of actually seeing you go through this journey, but also the impact that you had on the community, because I think you're a very special lady and you deserve every success going, because the way that you not only navigated your own story with Moira, but how you uplifted others through their own journeys as well and kept that momentum going. And that to me says so much about the character of the person. So I hope everybody here celebrates and supports you on your journey. Now, I'm just looking, so I'm interested to know how you're dealing with marketing of your book, Fiona. Did you build your tribe as you were writing to give them a taste of the content?
Yes, marketing. It's every author's nightmare, marketing. But yes, the marketing started way back. I started to let people know I'm writing a novel. My novel's coming, and I started to show people the cover, and versions of the cover. I mean, the cover evolved hugely, from the first sort of draft and to the final draft. So I showed people the cover. I put out little snippets, of the book, and just sort of involved people. I think I even asked a question about a character. What would you name this guy? I got people to be involved in the process as well. And then, when the book was actually published, that's when the marketing has to sort of ramp up. So it's just consistency with posting about it, finding ways to bring a little bit of the story into something that is part of my life, involving, even the dog, in the marketing, my little companion that sat beside me while I typed away, just anything that will bring a little bit of someone wants to know what's that post about, because there's a nice picture of a dog or a nice picture of me, or a sunflower or whatever. So it's like it's just being consistent with it, telling people about writing and just doing different posts, doing videos. You do need to. I am right out of my comfort zone tonight. You might not think I am, but I am. I was almost sick with nerves before I came on, but it's getting out your comfort zone. Doing videos, speaking to people, doing podcasts, you know, being on the radio, you've got to find outlets, and you can't stop. It's not something you can just stop, because people, there's so many millions of books out there. You've got to keep your book sort of in the frame, you know, for people to see, hear about, and stuff like that. So yeah, marketing is every author's dream, not.
Well, and what's lovely is I know that Kirsten in my team has also been helping along the way. And as we move towards, we've got a big event coming up in May, which we can talk about. But it's lovely to see how you've been working together around some of the marketing that's needed to take place with soft book launches, and then this evening actually happening. So, and then later on in May, we're going to be doing something. I'll talk to you all about that in a wee moment. So that's really special as well. But also, I think there is something about people by people. You're right. There's a plethora of stuff that's out there. Your personal story is really amazing. There's a community that we're building here where we're galvanizing together to not just uplift ourselves as a community, but also to make a difference to the lives of others. And with that, I imagine there will be plenty of opportunities to do some wonderful marketing and PR together. It's the bane of everybody's life, though, in a saturated environment. But having some skill and expertise in the game is crucial too. And not feeling so alone. It takes a community, which actually, can I just do a little shout out, Fiona? Because do you know what? We were both nervous. It's just like, oh gosh, we've put it out there, and is anybody going to show up this evening? It's everybody's concern, no matter how present you are across any kind of media. You do wonder, what's the participation going to be like? What's the engagement going to be like? Is anybody going to show up? Oh my God, I might be on my own. And so trying to present to nobody. But you showed up. So I just want to do a big shout out and kudos to you all for taking some time out on your Sunday to support Fiona, support the book launch, and be there as part of this. That's really special as well. And we all need to do more of that to uplift our communities too. So superb. Right, Vanessa, having read most of your books, your life experience books, children's books, and now a novel, which has been the hardest and most challenging, what is your favourite genre to write?
Oh, what's my favourite genre to write now? I've really enjoyed writing the novel, and I'm really enjoying working out like the second part. So I'm enjoying the made up stuff now. So I don't think you'll be getting any more of my life experiences. So I think it'll be novels going forward.
Yeah, lovely. Very nice. Well, I hope we can continue our collaboration together and get more novels across the line. And poor Hilra, I have seen you have been there waiting patiently to actually join the conversation. So you want to say something? I don't know the question, but please come off mute and ask your question.
Thank you. Sorry for being there, waiting. I just want to say it's so many things that have been said about Fiona, and I just want to say that I was doing almost the opposite of what Fiona did with Moira. So I was writing some fictional characters, but I needed some real people to inspire my readers. And in one of my chapters, I needed people to share their stories. And I asked Fiona to do that, and she was really generous. And I'm really glad that Fiona is one of the characters in my book, but not a fictional one. She is a real one. So while she was writing Moira, she was being the real character in my book. And I just want to say thank you to her for doing that for me. And in her busy life and all the things that she's been doing, she found the time to give me the contribution for my book. And I feel privileged that she is there. She is part of it with me. So I just want to say that and share with the others. Thank you, Fiona. And well done for tonight. You're doing brilliant. I'm loving it.
Thank you so much, Hilra. Is there anybody else that wants to ask questions this evening? Have I missed anybody? If I have, please come off mute and join us now.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jadia. Sorry, I didn't mean to miss you.
Fine. I don't know if my question arrived late on the call, but first, Fiona, thank you for everything you've done. You were such an inspiration for me and for many people. My question to you is really, there've been a lot of difficult stuff Maura went through, and how did you, so you try to imagine everything, but how did you manage the emotional part? Because when reading, obviously there's emotion coming up and it can link to life anyway. So how did you manage this? How did you manage the emotional part when writing?
That's a really good question. The emotional part, some of the stuff within the book is highly charged emotionally. There's some difficult stuff to read. And I know that, a lot of people on the call know that I am a woman of faith, and for me, I really did a few times. I knew that I needed to go into a place of prayer. I needed to go into a place where I was just meditating and, really just sometimes just asking for inspiration from God and just saying, can you just help me to get this emotion over? Because I am not great with emotion personally because of my own background, being adopted and all the stuff that comes with that. A lot of my emotional side of who I am is quite highly suppressed. So I just definitely needed, help with that side of bringing the emotion to life within, some dry pieces of paper. To me, it was quite a big task getting the emotional side to flow through. So that was the times when I just had to sit, and just pray and think quietly about how is this going to come across. So that's where my inspiration came from to get the emotion through. And, whatever faith or whatever beliefs you have, maybe that's the best way for anyone, that struggles with emotion to find that quiet place to think about and bring something that you can't bring, naturally yourself.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Fiona, to share. Thank you. That's really, yeah. Thank you. I have another question then. So if there is one message you want people take away from your book, what would it be?
I think the one message from MOIRA in particular is that stuff happens, bad things happen, difficult things happen, but there are ways where you can, be strengthened. There are areas where you can be strengthened. There are services where you can, be strengthened. There are people you can lean on, and just relying on that inner strength and growing. People can grow through experiences that they've had. And I think watching Moira's growth through the process, to what as you get to the end of the book, you see Moira suddenly, sitting up straight and realising, just wait a wee minute, I've got a life to live here, and so off she goes, kind of thing. So it's yeah, that's the main sort of message, I think, really.
Yeah. What a lovely question to actually close out in terms of the Q&A panel. I'm going to come across, we've got a special guest here on the call this evening, which is Jackie Wilkinson, the infamous Jackie Wilkinson. So if you have not come across her, she is a trauma-informed coach and specialist. She's written her own book. She works for NATO. She's an RAF wing commander, and so a very special lady indeed. I just want to go across to her because of the context for Fiona's book, but also just Jackie, anything you'd like to add to this in support of Fiona, but also the work that you do around trauma.
Thank you, Leigh. Hello, everyone, and many congratulations, Fiona. What an absolute wonderful thing to be not only writing that many books, but then creating your first novel. I think it's very inspirational, and I'm looking forward to reading it. It sounds fascinating. And I think the conversation you had around about the emotion, which Chadia, I think that's how you pronounce your name, you mentioned, it's extraordinary how when you write and create that emotion so that you engage and connect with your reader, your audience. And when you can do that to such a level, which it sounds like Moira has done, it's truly inspirational, and I think it's a skill and an art to be writing something like that. I just wanted, Leigh's mentioned about writing. So I wrote my book, which was my memoir, and about trauma. It was about overcoming adverse childhood experiences, of which I was handed 9 from both my parents. So started off with quite challenging upbringing. You know, there were good times on the bad days and bad times on the good days. It was a bit of yin and yang from both my parents, but lots of different types of abuse happening to me from both of them in all counts, but also dysfunctional, like household adversity, very dysfunctional, domestic violence, etc., alcoholism. And I ended up writing my book a couple of years ago. And the reason for that was because it was to help the younger version of myself. I think when we find our truth and are able to write our own story and own it, we become the narrator, the author of our own story, as opposed to the victim. And it strengthens us through that writing process. We really do start to understand ourselves better. And there's healing in the telling of the story. And so in relation to if people want to write their own stories, there is such incredible wisdom that is gained when you do go through this process. And if you're in a community like the Right to Inspire is, the community strengthens that will of actually achieving it. And then, you know, you rise together. That is the beauty of writing collectively when you go through a program like this. And it builds an incredible amount of resilience, you know, as Fiona mentioned, and shame resilience. I know for myself, there was a lot of shame that held my story in it, and I wrapped a lot of silence around my trauma, and it created a strength inside of me. But actually, when I told my story and shared it and published my book, the strength and shame resilience that then came out of that was second to none. It is really empowering. And then you realize that so many people go, yeah, me too. Yeah, I've had the same thing. And oh, you know, I didn't know that. And that's the bit where we all have very similar stories inside of us, and they stay inside of us. When we let them out and we, you know, put pen to paper or typing or however you like to write, it is deeply healing. It is deeply rewarding, and you achieve something, and possibly one of the best things you can achieve in your life. I don't know what, you know, Fiona says to that, but it's so deeply rewarding, satiating inside of you. I can't emphasize it enough. It's a wonderful experience. So if any of you are on the fence and wondering, should I do this? It's a no-brainer. It is absolutely a no-brainer. You will grow into something that you never thought was even possible.
Yeah.
So I would definitely encourage you to do that. So I just wanted to share that. It's a phenomenal thing to do. So give yourself the gift.
Yeah.
If you haven't, if you're not like sold yet, give yourself a gift. It will change you so much.
So absolutely. Thank you so much, Jackie, for coming in. I thought I didn't want to miss the moment of you being here as well in support of Fiona and the book writing process. And give yourself the gift, but also buy the gift. Buy Fiona. I've put the link back in here. If you've not bought it yet, buy it now. Buy it as gifts for other people too. So also just on that point there around, you know, my husband has written his second book recently called The Inspiring Leadership Compass, or The CEO's Compass. And his father passed away. He was in the military, the RAF, and he passed away in his early 30s. But he always used to say, one of his mantras was, don't die with the music within you. And I don't think any of us ever should. Don't, your legacy is going to be within your book, your storytelling, everything. It is an absolute gift. So pursue it with passion, with grace, with intention, and draw on the community that's around you to actually make some of that happen. We're here to support you. So do reach out to us. I've put a link here. I'll do it again just in case, but inspiringleadership.foundation. We are what we say. It's simple, inspiringleadership.foundation. You can't go too far wrong with that. It's not complicated. So do reach out. The other thing is with, you know, MOIRA, there are some tough, challenging topics there. So one thing is actually reading about these things. The other thing is if you need support in any way, shape or form, please do reach out. We would happily support in any way that we can. So just note that too. Fiona, I'm going to come back to you before I close out today. We've gone a little bit over, but I think it's been so special that I think it's been worth it. So Fiona, where are you, and can we bring you back in for any final words?
I'm still here. Yeah, I saw a little question from Ruth there, and she was asking if, writing the book with the name Helen Oxenham had been cathartic, and yes, definitely. I think with the adoption story, I found all the biologicals, got to know them. That's fine, and it sort of gave me a bigger picture. But actually bringing Helen into the world has kind of boxed off the whole trauma of it. I think adoption trauma doesn't ever go away. It won't go away because it can't go away. But at the end of the day, for me, for my healing journey, to bring Helen to life has just been like, ta-da! It's just been really good. So I just want to say a really heartfelt thank you to everyone that's taken the time to come on and to ask questions and to find out a bit more about MOIRA and the Inspiring Leadership Foundation and the Right to Inspire programme, because this journey with MOIRA, with both Leigh and Sarah all involved and all my other friends involved, it's just been phenomenal. And I just can't thank you enough for coming on and giving your time to listen to me rambling on.
Not rambling on at all. It's been hugely inspirational. Fiona, thank you so much for showing up this evening and sharing your thoughts and ideas and spending time with us around the book, but also that internal story that you have that you wanted to kind of share with us all. Now, the charity it's not just about gaining from the programme, it's about giving back. So I think there is something very special about the platform that's being created. Everybody who gains gives back. It's a very special environment. It just feels like the building of an inspiring leadership movement of which we can all be part of. So I'm inviting you this evening to participate in any way, shape or form. Not only that, spread the message. Sometimes we can kind of contain these things to ourselves, but think of who else would be benefiting from being part of the journey. So I've put plenty of information in there, but do reach out if there's anything else that you need from us. Sarah, just want to say a huge thank you for you. You ran an exceptional program of the highest quality delivery. So absolutely superb. Now, I spoke a little bit earlier about this little bit of a ride that we're going to do, this bit of event that we're going to do at the in May. So let me tell you a little bit more about it. Right, 13th to the 16th of May, because it's all about inspiring leadership. So we are cycling. Jackie's going to be on the cycle ride with us, but we're cycling from Silverstone Racetrack. We'll have an opening event, which is about the champion within. We'll have lots of speakers and some celebrations. So 13th of May, we will have an evening of celebration at the Silverstone Museum. So a very special location indeed. Then we're going to travel up the country, all the cyclists. By the way, if you're not a cyclist, don't worry, that's not what we're inviting you along to, although you could wave us along our journeys if you want to do that. But then we're going to land in Liverpool Football Club, and we're going to have an event called Women Breaking Barriers. And it's our second event of the same name. We ran one last year. It was very special indeed. So on the 16th of May, of course, Women Breaking Barriers. Where do you close out? Liverpool Football Club. We've got a very special VIP experience. And I'm happy to share more with you if you are interested. But of course, we've got some very special VIPs coming along, of which we're going to have Fiona there. And she's going to be doing another book launch at that event to celebrate Women Breaking Barriers. She'll be speaking again. If you want to join us, if you want to find out more, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, everyone, thank you for this little bit of a marathon. We've gone slightly over. I was never good with timings. My husband's ex-military. Jackie's probably pulling her hair out going, what on earth, Leigh? Never keeps to time. So, but here we go. Gift of the gab. I'm Irish. So anyway, have a lovely, lovely evening. We look forward to working with you. We look forward to supporting you as well. Fiona, congratulations. Well done again. And looking forward to seeing your continued success and the next book. Please hurry up soon. We want to read it.